I'm sure if you're watching this, you're probably familiar with the NaNoWriMo. They do that every November. A bunch of people go and they write 50,000 words over the course of a month. And I've tried to do that a couple times, but it always seems that in November is just this horrible time for me that we're on tour or we're in the studio, something else is going on and I'm not able to participate. But I love the idea of it because you're just focused on getting the words down. And I think that's what it's all about. And I basically did that same kind of process for writing this book. It just was like, instead of NaNoWriMo, it was like Mark Lee Rimo or something. And actually what I did, I had been talking to a friend of mine who was just all talking about how YA is just, that's all the rage. That's where everything's going. There's a certain length to that. There's shorter sentences. It's a certain reading level that's where things are headed. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. What's like the ultimate YA book? So I went to the library, as I do, and I looked at the first Harry Potter book and figured out how many words. It's like 76,233 words in the first Harry Potter book. So I said, okay, I'm going to write down 76,233 words of memoir because that's what I want to write. And I'm not going to worry about if it's good. I'm not going to worry about if it's bad. I'm just going to get it down. I'm not even going to go back and look at anything that I've written until after. And so I did that. We had a break in our touring season about 3 or 4 years ago. And it was just happened to coincide when my kids were going back to school. So there's a certain rhythm, there's a certain regimen there of, okay, I know that I'm going to have from about 8 in the morning until about noon before I have to start doing stuff. So every day from about 8 in the morning until noon, I'm just going to sit down and write. And so I did that. And after about 2 or 3 months of doing that, I had my 76,233 words. Now, it was horrible, but I was able to then go back and find, okay, yeah, this is horrible, this is horrible, this is horrible. Oh, wait, here's this little passage here that's pretty good. I'm going to use that and build off of that. And as I went back through and read that, I went, it's really funny. Like, I talk about high school, but I forgot to talk about this one funny thing that happened in this football game. So now I know I'm going to go back and write that scene back in there. And I also found all these weird little coincidences where here's this one spot where I use this phrase, and here's another spot 50 pages later where I use a very similar phrase. Why not go ahead and make a thing out of that? And you don't see those things if you try to go back, which I tried to do at first, of writing this great, brilliant first chapter and then moving on to the second chapter. And that was my process for years of going, okay, as soon as I get this first chapter how I want it, I'll move on to the next thing. And I think a lot of people do this. The problem with that is your first chapter is probably not even going to end up being your first chapter. You have to go through this whole process. You have to have a book length something to be able to go back and edit it into the final product. And so it took me years to figure that out. So I hope if there's somebody that's watching this that maybe I've saved you years of your life of frustration. And if I've done that for one person, then this interview has been completely worthwhile.